Chief, I heard you were planning on retiring soon. Affirmative. Just gotta get off this ring and then I'll get... What about the 10-year plan thing? What 10-year plan thing? Didn't you hear? We're gonna be here for 10 years. Hey guys, welcome to another
Jealous Thunder SA video.
There's something that's been on my mind that I've wanted to articulate for a little while actually. So with everything out in the open with regards to Halo Infinite, well, some things out in the open, we know for certain that it's going to feature a 10-year game plan. But what on high charity does that even look like? Well, I think it's safe to say it's going to look like this. Wait, hold on, that's not... Who the hell put that in the script? Dave!
Fire that naked PA!
Okay, so we don't exactly know what that's going to look like, but here's my best guess as to what we're going to see. Call it a hunch, but I have a feeling Halo Infinite will be the best Halo campaign since Halo 3. There's just a vibe I get with regards to it. But I don't think that this campaign is going to end in quite the way that most people think it is. See, it's important to keep players invested in games in every feasible way, and Fortnite, Call of Duty, Destiny, a ton of popular games know this. So what do they do to fix the problem of a single-player campaign essentially acting as a non sequitur? Well, they give their game a live campaign. Now hold on, because I know the idea of Chief rearing his head every few months doesn't really make sense, but that's not how I see it. If what seems to be true is true, Halo Infinite will feature a rich and near open-worlded map. Now, I don't know about you, but if I were 343 and the only thing that was going to be done with this beautiful world we were creating was playing it through in a campaign, I'd be pretty bummed out to see that. I don't think that's what's going on. I think that the story of Halo Infinite will be kicked off by the campaign with Chief, but I think it will unfold after that point with your multiplayer Spartans at the forefront in the vein of Spartan Ops, but with completely open-ended gameplay. If there's something to take from Spartan Ops, it's that their idea was in the right place. I know I enjoyed the idea of my Spartan being there in the midst of the conflict that was going on in the universe. This is exactly what Destiny does, with the exception of its initial campaign. It all features your playable character. Now that doesn't even mean that Master Chief won't show back up. He could show back up in a major story expansion that happens fairly routinely, but I'll talk more about that later. I imagine a situation where, hypothetically, Chief deals a significant blow to the Banished, and is perhaps injured to a point where he's unable to fight, or maybe he finally retires, which I think is unlikely. But I see the campaign serving to move his story forward, and the continued story to evolve and move the universe forward. Suddenly we're in our multiplayer Spartan's shoes, there's a Banished encampment waiting to be taken, and we're the ones to do it. But wait, there's more.
Hey. Yeah? You ever wonder why they keep putting Sprint in the game? It's one of life's greatest mysteries, isn't it? You know, there's arguments for it, against it. Me personally, I just think that... Holy shit. Holy shit, I hit somebody! Finally!
So I want to start talking about multiplayer and what a 10-year plan looks like with it and what it means. But before I go through any of that, I need to tell you something. When Halo Infinite launches, it will have been 6 years since the last mainline Halo game. Why do I mention that? Well, because it's never happened before. The last time it happened was between Halo 4 and 5. It's typically 3 years between titles. What point am I trying to make? Well, for starters, the industry has changed, and this game's monetization scheme is going to exist, and it is not going to be like Halo 5's. That's why you're seeing these things such as coatings and all the different cosmetics being introduced with Halo MCC's additional seasons. They're going to be implementing a much more modern monetization scheme, primarily because people respond far better to them than they respond to things such as, oh, I don't know, incessant grindfest for a chance to get what you want. I'll just rip off the band-aid and say it. Nobody wants to pay for cosmetics, and there's good news on that front. But just know that Halo Infinite will definitely feature cosmetics that sit behind a paywall. I expect that we'll see something that most closely apes Fortnite's system of having a store and a paid battle pass, albeit without a premium currency. Here's another thing I foresee coming to Infinite. Now, we don't know this for certain, but if there's one thing that is good at retaining players, it's bringing back classic game modes, or fan favorites. If you're not catching the drift, we would call this an LTM, a limited time mode. This is where developers lock away game modes specifically so they can drive up demand for them, and release them for a limited time so that they can continuously do so. Now, how do you sustain all of that with long-term plans? Here's where the campaign comes back into play. Introducing Halo Infinite Season 3, The Baron of Pestilence. So this is totally just like a made-up scenario here that I made, as you can see on the screen. It's just essentially like a what-if scenario of if they did content seasons, what I could see them adding. You see how I have these made-up maps that they would be adding to the game. One of them would be there's a remake of Zanzibar in there that I've included. Customization here, you know, I'm acting like there's some sort of thing where I'm acting like the UNSC has started to adopt some banished aesthetic to conceal themselves. It's just like the kind of thing I could see them doing with theming. And it's not even speculation, it's really just kind of me trying to be creative here. And then I have what I call strongholds here, which are just sort of bases and areas you can take down to gain XP or cosmetics or something to that effect. And then there's game modes that are being reintroduced as well, like Griffball, and we have Headhunter being reintroduced. So things like that. I can imagine just taking different content seasons and reintroducing, and over the course of seasons, you know, kind of taking away and adding back and such and such. I think you might get the idea of where my head is at. I can see that they want to do a games as a service situation here, and I think that maybe doing it that way is a way that it would make sense with Halo. But campaign and multiplayer aren't the only thing that Halo has to offer. There was a time when all we had was multiplayer and campaign, and it was awesome, but it didn't keep us coming back the way that the later titles did. There's a reason why Halo 3 was lauded as much as it was, and it wasn't that it was simply a great campaign and multiplayer. Halo 3 added a fourth part of the game, and I'm not just talking about Forge, I'm talking about creative expression as a whole. It's one thing to be able to customize your Spartan, but to give you the tools to take badass screenshots of them, or to make a cool emblem, or even the ability to show your friends the new map that you made, all of it. I think these things are heavily understated by the community, and are extremely crucial to the longevity of an entry. Halo 5 might have lasted longer if it didn't launch without Forge and a file browser, etc, etc. It's so important for people to have as many tools as possible to express themselves within a Halo game. What does that look like in 2021? I have no actual idea, but here's some ideas as to what that may look like. I foresee different updates to Infinite featuring additional mechanics to the photo mode that I believe Halo Infinite will feature. I foresee Forge getting additional palettes with new updates, maybe new textures for the basic items as well. I could even see different canvases being added relatively routinely, but I think things like these would actually be paywalled, and it might even be worth it if it means that these features are more robust and dynamic. I can imagine emblem packs being a thing, or giving Forge and photo mode a rating system with rewards attached to it for community members that truly are brilliant. This segment is particularly short because, frankly, I'm just not exactly sure what this pillar of the game will look like in 2021. It's really anyone's guess, but I do think that 343 may have learned their lesson about the importance of it all and how much people enjoy these features and need them at launch. There's so many different ways that this game can go, and we have to be realistic about monetization. Halo Infinite will be designed to continuously make Microsoft money, and it very likely will, but that doesn't completely devalue the game. Sea of Thieves added monetization much more recently in the game's life, and it was generally well received because it wasn't invasive of the core of the game. DLC and money-gated content isn't exactly anything new, and I think Halo Infinite likely will do things such as this. Unfortunately, that's the world we live in. But again, I reaffirm that this does not mean the game will be bad. If it's an honest and good system, I'm sure most people will participate and even enjoy it. Hey guys, I want to say something before I thank my Patreon supporters. I completely neglected to mention you guys in my most recent Halo video, and I'm really sorry about that. I'm going to do my best to make sure it never happens again. The plan has always been that if it's an essay on Halo, it gets a thank you to you guys. I gotta be better. With that out of the way, I want to thank Nuck and Futz at the 197 tier. I want to thank Tease at the $10 tier. I want to thank Ryan McCann at the $10 tier. I want to thank Ghost Warrior at the $5 tier. I want to thank Screamy at the $10 tier. And I want to thank Rye at the $12 tier. Thanks again, guys, and I hope you guys stick around, because we've got infinite different things coming in the future.